about lockers, there should be something that's set forth to make sure it is done equitably, to determine who doesn't get lockers, okay? In my opinion. The second question is, this year with parking, all right, the decision was also made at Mendham that there would be no assigned parking spaces. Now again, if you're a twin, and if your parents were wealthier than we are, you might both have a car, but it doesn't matter because you only get one parking space because it's one per family. So it's not an issue now that there's no assigned parking places because not that many juniors have cars yet that they're driving. The fear is towards the end of the year, as more and more juniors start driving, you have a problem all the time anyway of juniors trying to park in the lot. If you don't have an assigned spot, you can't even say, well, somebody's in my spot. There's just nowhere to go. So again, how was the decision made that this year we were no longer going to have assigned parking spaces? And those are my questions.
Okay. Mrs. Sobin, you got in touch with me and I showed you on the website where the administrative emails were and you told me you were able to find those. So I'm surprised that you told me that you couldn't find the principal.
No, I said I could find them after I talked to you. Okay. But my point is, when that front page comes up, it should say administrators, or it should say staff, and the administrators could alphabetically be in with staff. And also with the website, to this woman's point about back to school night, a lot of parents wonder about back to school night. I look on the school website every day. You can pop a little something up there that says, at this point in time, we don't have a back to school night schedule, just so parents know, a little communication, what's going on.
Regarding the lockers, lockers were cut out of the capital budget last year as part of the budget cut. And one of the issues regarding lockers was the more lockers that we replace, because we're replacing smaller lockers with larger lockers, the fewer lockers we have. We were right on the edge of having a sufficient number of lockers for every student in the school. But unfortunately, right at the end of the summer, we did have a huge influx of students. Something like 40 to 50 students came in. And so the question became, what do we do about that in terms of giving every student a locker? And a decision was made regarding siblings. And the thought was, if they are siblings, twins of the same gender, so you're not asking a junior and a freshman or a senior and a freshman to share, we would begin there. And that as soon as lockers became available, that we begin to unwind that process. But we were on the edge of having enough lockers for each student, cutting some of them out of the budget, and then replacing smaller lockers with larger lockers put us in that position.
So are there empty holes in the school where there are no lockers?
No, what happens is every time we replace old lockers with new ones, there's a net decrease in the number of lockers.
Okay, well you have sophomore and junior that are pretty big bubble years. So if we are replacing small lockers with larger lockers and we don't have enough this year, is this going to be a continual problem because the decision was made to replace small lockers with large lockers? I mean, what's the maximum, what's your cohort telling you of what's the maximum number of people you think you're going to have in the school, and whether or not is this going to be a continual problem?
The cohort is telling us that we probably will be able to continue to get enough lockers for students if we have a regular replacement schedule. But the loss of budget dollars last year and the cuts in the budget put us in a situation where we cut some of the capital projects in terms of locker replacement out of the Mendham budget, and it put us right on the edge. That added with another 50 students coming into the school unexpectedly at the end of the summer, put us in this particular situation.
Okay, well I guess just my mind's not working right. If you're telling me that we should have enough once we start putting these new lockers in, but every time we put more lockers in, we're losing the number of lockers because
we are. So we are going to continue to add them in greater numbers. What we've had is complaints from students in the past who said the small half-size lockers that we used weren't sufficient. In fact, you wrote to me and said that locker wasn't sufficient for your son's winter coat. So what we've got is this notion that we're trying to replace those small half-size lockers with full-size lockers. We need to add more lockers in total, because when we replace half-size lockers with full, we lose lockers.
So you're going to put lockers in places where there are no lockers?
Yes, we are.
That's the part of it. Okay. And then what about the parking situation?
Parking, what we did is when we began discussing the issue of parking between Mendham and Central, it was discussed during the summer that Central doesn't assign parking spaces, and it sounded that it worked better. So we wanted to try that this year to see. Juniors do not have parking spots at this time. Every senior does have a spot.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? You might not be able to see everybody, so if you do, please stand up. I'm not seeing anybody right now. Yeah.
My name is Joyce Hartman. I'm the president of the Teachers Association, and I brought a few friends along tonight to say that we are disappointed at the timeliness of negotiations and the process of this whole thing getting done. We are at a point where we've never been before in this district. In my 30 years here, it's never been this difficult. It's hard to open up a newspaper, in fact, and be a public employee. I remember a board meeting that I attended this summer here where some parents were very upset about courtesy busing, and someone stood up and said, how much does courtesy busing? And in trying to get the dollars, they were just saying, why don't we just let go of a gym teacher or something? I think in that voice, I hung my head down. I was embarrassed to be a teacher. I'm not embarrassed tonight to be a public employee. I'm not embarrassed to be among a very talented group of people. And I just would like to say that we're here in numbers tonight because we are disappointed. We are involved in the fact-finding process, and that does involve people coming in from the state. But we also had started a informal meeting with the board, past mediation, past impasse, pre-fact-finding. And we were disappointed to get a date that was 2 months after the last meeting, so that October 25th we're scheduled to meet with the board. We're just disappointed that this process seems to take so long, that this isn't important, that we feel disrespected. That's it. Thank you very much.
Carol Brady from Mendham. I come to all the board meetings, and I'm really happy to hear that, because the word on the street is the parents aren't getting that. The parents did a lovely lunch back to school, and then they went, there's no back to school money? What is going on? The teachers won't do this, they won't do that. So if you could communicate that better, or put something in the newspaper or the website or something, I think that the parents are all in support. I shouldn't say all. The majority of us are so supportive that we just think you guys are great. And we appreciate everything you do. It's just we're missing out on information. We're getting it from our children, like Mrs. Hogan and Leslie said, and we're missing out. And so we're taking it, what is happening? I appreciate you shedding it. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I don't want to miss anybody, so if there's no other questions or comments, I'll close the public right now. I'll have another chance later in the meeting. Anybody have any statements on
I do not.
They're not in private session.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This is October 12th.
Item number 12, at the top. Second.
Doug, can you please tell us what our broker did to kind of use her because she's a competitive communicator.
Yeah, the broker did market and solicited, I believe it was 5 companies. 2 chose not to participate, and 2 others, including Jeff Pops, did choose to participate. And as a result of that marketing, we were able to ensure no increase for the coming year.
I'm checking against her market, because that's really the thank you for that work.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, old business.
I have a couple of items. First, I want to report to the board about progress on subscription busing. We have been able to accommodate every person who is asked to be included in subscription busing. We've done that by adding a route and by extending a few routes. I have tried to make sure that the traffic situation has been monitored. I've contacted the chief of police in both towns to make sure of that, and have been told that while traffic is a little bit heavier, as school has proceeded, subscription busing has been a success. Secondly, I told the board that I would apprise them of